Let's start off episode 11 of the JohnnyCast with a question here, with a question and an announcement. Now, the question is, how difficult can it really be to make it in this content creation world, whether it's YouTube, TikTok, etc.? The reason I ask that question, and granted, it's very, very hard. We all know this. I mean, hundreds of thousands of people probably daily try to do this thing. And I mean, only like probably hundreds of people are actually succeeding. So the percentages are super, super low. But the reason I ask is that if you are one of those lucky people, and we can define what luck even means, but if you're one of those people who quote unquote make it, it's a very magical feeling, and I don't know what that feels like, but what I can relate to is when you start posting content. So it's been about 6 months for me, and when you start posting content, you don't really get much traction, and then maybe once in a while you get a little blip on the radar. So to give you my personal example, I had been posting YouTube videos that weren't doing much, and they still don't really do much. YouTube's very difficult in my experience to crack. But on TikTok, I would post some clips, and they'd get maybe 500 views. Maybe a couple of videos got like 1,000 views. And then I remember one video, probably like 4 or 5 months ago, got like 5,000 views. And the views were just going up and up and up. The likes were climbing. And in that moment, I was going, oh my God, like people are watching. This is crazy. Like maybe I could do this. And so you get a little cocky, you get a little excited. That glimmer of hope is larger than it had been the days prior. And you're going, oh my God, maybe the next video I post will do even better, or maybe it'll stay the same. And then you're slowly gripped and ripped right down to reality when the next maybe several videos you post have less views than the videos that were made prior to that video blowing up. So, I mean, let's say I was getting 500 views a video, then that video got 5,000. The one after that gets 300 views. So it sucks. But so time goes on, there's a lull, and then maybe you post another video. And in my case, I posted a video about Chipotle and it got 20,000 views. And now I'm really cooking with gas. And I'm like, holy shit, maybe that first time was a fluke, but this time it's the real deal. And now you're thinking the same thoughts you thought last time, only a little bigger. And the same thing happens. You get ripped down to reality. And then about a month ago, I had a video on TikTok that did 50,000 views. And so there's a trend here, right? Where you're slowly pushing the needle. You're slowly kind of making that needle move. And hopefully, you can only hope that you get to a point where you have enough of those videos that do well that the videos that do well have a lot of views. I mean, we're talking hundreds of thousands, even millions of views, so that your valleys, so to speak, are much higher than they had been in the previous months or years. So right now, I don't know what that feels like to make it, but I can imagine what it feels like if every video I did had 50,000 views and everyone was engaging with me in the comments and all this crazy stuff, right? And so as I was thinking about this, I was thinking about like my brand as a whole and my pseudonym or stage name, as I guess you'd call it. And I've successfully done this thing where I've separated my stage name from my real name. And I have my own like Instagram that I personally use. But then I have my TikTok and Twitter and YouTube that's under a different name, right? Johnny Kith. And the way that name came about, and I think it's a very funny name. I want to make that very clear. I still love the name Johnny Kith. But the way I made that name is I used to always cringe over people who would like always wear like Kith stuff. I just thought it was funny. And then lo and behold, like months later, maybe even like a year later, I started getting and buying Kith stuff and I became that guy. And then I've kind of come back down to earth. I wear some of their pieces. I like some of their stuff. I like some of Ronnie's stuff, but nothing crazy. And so the irony of that combined with, I thought the first name, like Johnny with Johnny Kith, had like a flow to it, and I thought it was funny. I created the name, and I didn't think anything of it, and yeah, I started making videos. And now, again, fast forward 6 months, here we are. And so the YouTube channel is JohnnyCast, right? JohnnyCast Studios. My actual podcast is The JohnnyCast, so nothing to do with the Kith part of the name. But as I was thinking about that idea of making it, when you have the momentum and you're solidifying yourself as someone who does this for real, they do it full time, and you're solidified, you can kind of change your identity a little bit. And you can also do that prior to making it or solidifying yourself in the first place. When you can't do it is when you're in the middle of that ramp, right? When the rocket ship is finally starting to take off, you can't just, boom, switch up your brand or your name, because then you're going to lose a lot of that traction. So I was thinking about maybe changing the name, the stage name, because I mean, I just don't know if I'd want to be associated with another brand for two reasons. The first is that clearly I have nothing to do with Kith. So the idea of my name and my just brand in general being tied to a different brand that may have a different view about it. Like let's say Kith in a couple years starts to fall off. I have nothing to do with Kith, but then people will resonate with the Kith name in a negative way and maybe pass that judgment onto my name. Similar to how if my name was like Ian True Religion Jeans and this was 2004, I would have gotten a lot of praise and maybe some recollection and maybe some notoriety about it. But now if you had the name Ian True Religion Jeans, you'd be hanging on the rack for pennies on the dollar at TJ Maxx. So that idea, it didn't scare me, but I'm just thinking a little bit in the long game mode where I don't want that. And second of all, again, this is the obvious part, is I mean, I have nothing to do with Kith. So if I were to do something where I was able to do this full time, do I want another brand involved in my name? No, right? I want this to be my sole thing, like in terms of the identity of it. So I don't really have a good replacement. That's the issue with a name change. And don't worry. I mean, the Johnny part of this name is not going anywhere. So it's going to have to just be the surname or the last name is going to change. But the best I could come up with right now is Johnny Action. And that, I mean, is a work in progress. I like it. I'm not going to lie. I don't love it. And the way I get that name is my one of my best friend's older brothers, who's like an older brother to me. Growing up, as a joke, he would call himself Mikey Action. And then when I got to college and I started like making SoundCloud DJ mixes for like spring break and stuff, I would use that as my username. And I don't even think he knows that, but yeah, I stole his thunder a little bit. And then when I was brainstorming a few weeks ago about a name I could use instead of Johnny Kith, I thought about maybe Johnny Action. And that's the best I can think of right now. I'm a little bit of writer's blocked out, but we'll see. The one thing I do know, and I want everyone else to know, is that this name change has nothing to do with like any pressure. And what I mean by that is once in a while on Twitter or on TikTok itself, I'll see people comment like, dude, your name's after like a designer clothing thing. Like that's so cringe. It's like, that doesn't bother me in the slightest. Johnny Kith is a funny name. It has a funny ring to it. Like just saying the word Kith. Like if you're watching this on YouTube and you see the way I'm saying like Kith, Johnny Kith, it's funny to me. It's just funny. So that's not the issue. The issue, as my headphones pull me back, the issue is more of like the brand identity. So that's a work in progress. If you have any ideas of a change in name that would be good, comment it to me or comment on this video or shoot me a DM and let me know, because I like Johnny Action. I don't love it, but sooner rather than later, this name needs to change because God forbid the rocket ship starts to take off and I'm not able to change it. I'll be pissed off. So nothing's happening. Nothing's happening with the actual like JohnnyCast name or the podcast name itself. It's solely just my stage name. So there's that. Now let's get into the actual topics of the podcast today. So it's a Sunday. I guess what time is it right now? It's 7:45 on a Sunday night, and the weather is finally turning around, which is tremendous. And there's something about spring that I never appreciated until recently. When I used to be a kid, and I still do. I mean, summer's my favorite season, but I never appreciated spring. I guess because school was still in session. But now, when it's spring, like, okay, in New York, which is where this podcast is filmed, when I was waking up last weekend, it was 55 degrees. When you wake up and it's nice weather, I mean, the lights peeking through the blinds, you don't even care. You get up in a good mood. The sun's dancing off your eyes. You open the blinds and the windows in your apartment or house. You got the fresh air rolling in, the cross breeze, just like making your day even better. Music sounds better. Food tastes better. I'm just like, I get so excited during the spring, just knowing what's ahead. I'll just yell. Like, I'll just like randomly just like, oh, just like yell because it's amazing. It's just unbelievable. I mean, when you go to your car from wherever you're at and you have to go outside, you can still wear a t-shirt. I mean, it was 60 degrees last week. I was like, oh my God, it was amazing. So spring has really been doing it for me. All the flowers are blossoming. I have a tree. Let me tell you about this tree. I don't even know what it's called. It looks like a bob haircut. It's like a Japanese, like twisty trunk. And it has like, it looks like a woman's bob haircut. The issue with this tree is that I'm going to say 98% of the time, it's just brown. Like the branches are brown. For like 15 days, this thing blossoms into these beautiful white flowers. Oh my God. You got that going on. Everything's blossoming. You got, I mean, Landscaping is something else as well. Landscaping, it just makes you, I can breathe deeper when I'm around good, nice landscaping. There's another tree I got. It's like a Japanese. I don't even know why I keep thinking these trees are Japanese. Maybe they're not. But this tree is like a windy, like also like corkscrew fucking trunk with red Japanese leaves on it. Again, this might not be Japanese, but it just feels Japanese to me. Unbelievable stuff. So I'm a huge spring guy. Only drawback, I guess, is the allergies, which I get. I've been getting recently over the last couple years, and I'm a nutcase. I mean, I don't know if this is a me issue or this is a thing that a lot of people deal with, but like if I change up or start taking any type of pill, whether it's like even Advil or like fucking Zyrtec, I'm convinced like the first 5 minutes I take that pill that my throat's closing and I gotta go to the hospital. And then so I will take, like, let's say I'll give you an example. Let's say I use Tylenol, which I don't even do any of this. I literally, if I have a headache, I'm not taking anything. But like in this crazy bizarro world where again, allergy medicine, I need to take a fucking Zyrtec. I'm taking Zyrtec, everything's fine. Then I gotta switch for some reason to like a different Zyrtec or whatever. I will pop that pill, and then for the next 5 minutes, I'll be like sitting on the couch looking around, waiting to see, okay, is the throat closing? Do I got hives? What's going on here? Is there an EpiPen within 50 feet? Like, and then 5 minutes roll by, and I stop, and I look around, and I go, no, I'm all right. So I guess that's the only drawback about spring, but besides that, I mean, things are looking very up. And so hopefully also with spring, we're doing away with the Salomon Shoes fad. I mean, what is going on with fashion these days? People are getting bored, straight up. I mean, I'll literally put a picture of these Salomon shoes if you don't know what I'm talking about. These Salomon shoes, girls are wearing hiking like cleats to brunches in Manhattan. What's going on? We have girls at a Sunday brunch that aren't even tying shoes because the shoes have a wire that they're pulling because it's a fucking hiking like cleat. Okay, I mean, I think 99% of the people who wear these Salomon shoes don't even know what hiking even means. I don't even know if it's a hiking shoe. I don't even know. It's just not. Why are we doing this? We recently got fashion right. This isn't 2015. We're not wearing ripped tight jeans with black tight V-necks. That's over. We're wearing nice cropped t-shirts, loose-fitting stuff, wide leg trousers, earth tones. New Balance is running rampant. We love it. Salomon shoes, I'm not sure what's going on. I could see like the Arc'teryx, or however you say that brand's name, Arc'teryx. People want to spend $500 on a windbreaker. It kind of looks fresh. But Salomon shoes, people are walking around, they're falling over because they're wearing fucking cleats on the cement. They look like cleats. There's nothing else to say. So enough with the Salomon shoes. I mean, Jesus Christ. All right, so that's enough of a rant on Salomon shoes. I just literally spent an extra 5 minutes doing it. I'm going to edit that down because no one needs to hear that. But let's move on. So if you're watching the YouTube, I'm sure you're seeing that I'm working with a little bit of a mustache here with the scruff around it. I'm going to keep growing this mustache out. I don't know if it's going to look good or bad, if it's going to be like a pedophile look, or if it's going to be like a nice fucking like Top Gun type look, maybe a Western look. And that's the look I'm going for here. Not to be confused with the first word I just used, but I, believe it or not, used to be a pretty large cinephile, okay? And what I mean by that is I would go genre to genre in movies, decade by decade. I mean, I used to love it all. And I've gotten away from it. And granted, I mean, things come up. There's not enough time in the day, honestly. But recently, I've wanted to get back into it. So I just started watching spaghetti westerns. So the last one I watched was the first in the Good, the Bad, the Ugly trilogy by Sergio Leone, called A Fistful of Dollars. And that is starring, as probably everyone knows, starring the GOAT, Clint Eastwood. Now, I never really got a full grasp on how goated, honestly, Clint Eastwood was, because, I mean, I've seen Unforgiven, I've seen a lot of his older, or like newer, I guess you'd say, stuff, but to see him in his prime, so in 1964, which I think is the first year of the trilogy, so that was A Fistful of Dollars, that was 1964, he was like 35 or 34 years old. So I couldn't even wrap my head around the idea that he had lived like even 7 years longer than I am now, and he yet is still breathing oxygen and living in 2022 or 2023, right? And so, I mean, he was such a stud back then. He is the embodiment of that genre. I specifically, I mean, I love Westerns for many reasons. My first tattoo I ever got is what's called a Tony Polito skull, which is basically a skeleton, a skull with a cowboy hat on. And I like the Western genre for many reasons, but one of the cooler aspects to it is I like the subtle kind of homages to westerns in newer films. Specifically, my favorite, which is Drive, because it's a western, just hidden with it. It has a disguise on it, basically, right? You have Gosling, who doesn't have a name, who comes in. He's kind of a nomad of sorts. He comes in, he saves the day, and then he leaves, right? I mean, basically the exact same theme as A Fistful of Dollars and many other of these westerns, right? So, yeah, I'm just super, super into it. I don't know the next genre I would get into. I mean, I really beat the '90s psychological thriller era to death, like probably 4 years ago. But yeah, I'm pretty open to like anything. And then on forget about movies for a second, but music. Uh, I've been listening to this kid La Tyler. If you don't know who La Tyler is, get very, very acquainted very soon. La Tyler is a Florida rapper. He's toting the Kodak Black flow, this kid, and he's 16. This kid is 16 and make zero mistake. He would just beat the fuck out of me. Like, I swear to God, if I was around La Tyler and I like raised my voice or I said something he didn't like, he'd pistol whip me and pimp slap me until I started crying. This kid is 16. He's lived more lives than anyone I know combined. That's like over the age of 50. He's rapping about stealing like your girl. He's rapping about taking Jada Wada and like other rappers' girls and shit. They asked him in an interview about it, and he's like, "Shit, I do be liking Jada Wada, but like I'm still waiting for that little baby verse though." Like he's a clean, smooth criminal, this kid, and his music's pretty good. I mean, he does. I don't know if he produces also, but like the beat he raps over is one of the songs is a Law and Order beat. Like it's literally the instrumental, the Law and Order theme song, and he's rapping over it like a fucking like a beast. Unbelievable. So that's a scary realization when you think about like there's so many 16-year-olds that would beat the shit out of me. It's crazy. And it just sucks. Like I think if you're not like I'm going to say if you're not like overly jacked and or like 6'2" and above, you're in danger of certain 16-year-olds being able to just beat you. Just like I don't know. Just it's crazy. I thought about that a couple of days ago and it scared me. It really scared me that like there's no age where you're safe. Like maybe dad strength comes into play in maybe like 20 years for me, but as of right now, you get a kid who's been watching a little too many Mike O'Hearn videos and he's like 17 and he took a fucking SARM cycle. He's gonna beat me to a pulp. That kid. It doesn't. It just is what it is. It just nothing else. But he would just dismantle me. So listen, those are the highs and lows of life. I've been learning that very subtly. Some days you're going to have a nice little high. Some days you're going to have a low. The key is we're not getting too low. We're not getting too high because if you do that, you're going to get nauseous, right? It's a roller coaster. So let's calm down. Let's relax a little bit. And let's just fucking hang out here, okay? Let's just absolutely hang out. I was thinking about I mean, I know we just discussed Clint Eastwood and how, I mean, again, he was 35 in 1965. He's still alive today. Like, he had so much life that he still is living. My grandfather's 92 years old as well. And it's just crazy to hear. I mean, time is fake. I mean, I'll give you two reasons why time is fake. The first is yesterday night, or I guess this morning was daylight savings time. I just found out that daylight savings time isn't even real. Like, I thought daylight savings time was like a thing where the Mayans, like in hundreds of years ago, like the Egyptian gods or some shit, like looked at the sun and like the sun was like speaking to them and they were like, okay, like an hour forward now and then an hour before then. It's a law that like Ron DeSantis and AOC are voting on now. I just found out like this is the last one I think we're ever having. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I am just completely blown away. This is a US thing. I feel robbed here. I feel absolutely robbed. That's the first way that timing is, or time in general is fake. And the second way that time is fake, and I've been doing this for a while, it's pretty cool. It's kind of scary, is so similar to the Clint Eastwood thing. It's like, all right, in the summers in high school, I live in Long Island, or I used to live I still live in Long Island. So anyway, living near the water was always important to me. I'd go to the beach a lot in high school and just my whole life. And every time in like high school, for example, it would be like the first day of going to the beach, right? The first day of like summer, so to speak. And I'd be walking from the parking lot to the tunnel that goes under the dune, where then you obviously get to the water, the ocean. And in that tunnel, I'd be carrying my beach chair, right, or my whatever, my towel. And I'd be thinking to myself, that like, all right now I'm walking in this tunnel. It's the first day of summer. Before I know it, I'm going to snap my fingers and I'm going to be walking the opposite direction back out of this tunnel to go to the parking lot on the last day of summer before I stop going to the beach. And there might be time in between then, but for right now, and then until that point, when you get to that point, it's like no time ever passed. It's instantaneous, right? And then sure enough, it's the last day of summer and you're walking through that tunnel and you're fucking mind blown. You're like, holy shit, it's over. It's done. And then you can stretch that out a little bit where I would do that during maybe like college where it would be like my freshman year. And I'd be like, all right, like this is my like first week of freshman year. Before I know it, it's going to be like time to move out and it's the end of freshman year. And then sure enough, sure, things transpire, time goes by and it feels slow in the moment. But then when you get to that moment down the road and it's that time to snap your fingers again, you go, dude, it feels like it was, again, instant. Like it's too quick. And time is too quick. I guarantee you, if you ask, for example, like we were talking about, Clint Eastwood, about how he feels when he was making those spaghetti westerns in the 60s, he probably feels like it was just yesterday, and he's 92 now. It's 2023. It's just crazy. And he had already lived 35 years from then. So I just think it's a scary thought that right now I'm on video. I'm documenting this. This is a part of my life, I guess, if you want to call it this. It's like I'm documenting this. And I can do this thing where right now on this video, I can say, hey, I'm snapping my fingers, and before I know it, I'm going to be 60 years old, right? In 33 years, I'm going to snap my fingers, and I could be looking at this video right now. And yeah, all this stuff is going to transpire. I'm going to hopefully like do a lot of things that I'm not even expecting yet, and blah, blah, blah. And then boom, you're 60, and I'm going to be sitting somewhere going, holy shit. And I'm watching myself right now do this video, and I'm going, holy shit. That feels like it was yesterday, and so much shit transpired in between. But again, time is just fake. Or as Matthew McConaughey in True Detective season 1 says, time is a flat circle, because it really is. It's just crazy to me. So I know we're getting a little heavy, we're getting a little deep here, a little stoner talk here, but like seriously, it's crazy to me that's how it is. And what's also interesting is the paradox of time, where it's like when you think about it in large quantities, it goes quickly, like that snapping of the fingers effect. But then close by dates, like for example, right now is Sunday. I think about next Wednesday. From now to Wednesday is a long time because I break down every minute, every hour, right? Every second. So the shorter, I guess, duration of the time, the longer it seems in I guess contrast to when you're talking about multiple years, and then all of a sudden you're not thinking about it, and then boom, it just is. So, yeah, I mean, I just remember like it was yesterday, 15 years ago, I was in 7th grade, and I remember everything about that year. I remember like everything about middle school, from the fall, all the music, all the video games, all the friends. Obviously in middle school, it's the first time, like you do a lot of things, and just, I don't even know. It's just crazy to me that was, I feel like very, very similar. Like it's obviously it's the same, you're the same person, but like you obviously change, but all the stuff that happens along the way, there's been so much stuff that's happened from when I was in 7th grade to right now. And I could have never imagined it from when I was sitting in a seat in my middle school, or my, whatever you want to call it, my junior high school at that point. And now here I am. And when I think about it and I look back, I could even watch videos that I used to make when I was in 7th grade. I go, oh my God, like that was 5 seconds ago. 2007, 5 seconds ago. It's 2023. It went from we went from living in this incredibly joyous environment to just a dystopian hellhole in just 15 years. It is what it is. It is what it is. Let's switch topics and get less depressing. I discussed this on the last podcast. I think I might have edited it out, but getting really involved with my gut health. I want to heal my microbiome, or my gut microbiota, as some of the experts call it. And bought a book that I'm still meaning to read. I haven't gotten around to it yet. But anyway, started eating kimchi. You got to work it in slowly but surely, because if you eat too much, it'll blow your stomach up. But I can eat that shit all day. If you want to get some good kimchi, go get. It's literally called Mother-in-Law's. I think it's called Mother-in-Law's kimchi. And yeah, I mean, it's spicy, it's tangy, it's like pickled because it's fermented. It's fucking awesome. Like, I couldn't recommend that more. And since we're talking about like product reviews, let's get to my positive and negative review of the day. Let me just get my my computer in order here. Give me a second. As the microphone hits my sweatshirt. All right, so my positive review of the day, and I don't even have it with me here. It's on my stove. I just don't feel like getting it. is my carbon steel pan. So let's break this down for a second. If you're gonna be cooking in any way, there's gonna be three main. Well, there's actually four. There's four main types of cookware. That three of them are legitimate. The fourth one is something that you should never use. So the three that you should be using are either steel, like a steel pan, like a frying pan, steel pan. Then you got a carbon steel pan. And then lastly, you have a cast iron pan. So if you want to think of it, carbon steel is like the between cast iron, which I'm sure most people are familiar with, and just a regular steel pan. So carbon steel has a lot of the properties that a cast iron pan has, but without a lot of the cons. It's very heavy, but it seasons extremely well. After a while, you can develop a amazingly non-stick surface on it, and that brings me to the fourth type of cookware, which is non-stick, which is for the most part, for all intents and purposes, usually going to be coated with some type of Teflon or some type of just chemical base or whatever ceramic, but it's like a loophole because it's not just ceramic. And bottom line is, get a real sustainable pan that you'll have for your whole life and season it correctly. It'll be better than the non-stick and a million times healthier, right? You don't have to worry about cancer risk or any of this garbage if the Teflon chips off or whatnot, if you heat it too much. So anyway, about 8 months ago, 9 months ago, I bought a De Boyer carbon steel skillet. And it has been one of the best purchases in my life. I cook on it every day, multiple times a day. It can handle everything from literally searing steaks and then putting the steak in the oven after that to get that nice medium rare, right? Eggs, non-stick, like frying eggs, non-stick, pancake, everything, right? It's such a piece of quality equipment that I couldn't recommend it enough. And if you're going to utilize it correctly, it's not overpriced because you'll have it forever. And it's about $100, I'd say. I think it's a 10-inch pan. It could be 12. And yeah, I couldn't recommend that more. I give that pan a 10 out of 10. If you're in the market for cookware, get a De Boyer, which is spelled DE space BUYER. For the gringos out there, it's De Buyer. That's how it's spelled. Go get yourself a carbon steel skillet. Incredible stuff. And then on the negative review, I have what's called a Wush. A Wush I recently saw on Instagram ads, and I'm a sucker for Instagram ads because I'm Johnny the consumer. I just buy whatever I see. It's a sickness. So Stan, it's a sickness. I'm an alcoholic, Stan. It's a disease. And so this Wush thing is basically, it was pitched to me on Instagram as a replacement for Q-tips, where I'd be able to sustainably and more healthily clean my ears and actually clean them more effectively and blah, 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 blah. And it looks like a water pick almost, the way it works. But I'm always very skeptical of brands that like their product is like their company name, but then there's like an overarching company name as well that just like confuses it. So like the company's name, I think, is like Iron Fox or some shit, but like the actual like product and like the company's website is just called Wush. So it's like, why is there like an overarching like LLC and then just like product? Like, why wouldn't you just name the product? And they're making like other shit that like is not related at all. It was like sketchy, but I bought it anyway because I'm a sucker. And so I get this thing. This thing is the size of like, it's the size of like Michael Douglas, right? Gordon Gekko in the original Wall Street, the fucking phone he has on the beach. This phone, like it's the size of this thing. They want you to put it in the shower with you. And the little tank for the water to fill up is like the size of like a little fucking mini steamer. So I swear to God, you get like one spray out of it before you have to fill it back in. And so I used it, and it kind of hurt. It didn't even feel like it cleaned my ears, and I felt like I had water in my ears for like hours after. So I returned it. So I'm going to literally give that device like a 3 out of 10. It was $70. This is the great thing about Amazon. I bought it on Amazon. It came to my house in like a day. I used it. I didn't like it, and I was like, yep, I'm going to return this. They're like, all right, sure. And then I literally just dropped it off to like Whole Foods. I don't have to have a box or anything. They just take it, the naked product. I just give them the fucking thing. They slap a receipt on it. They give me a little receipt, and then off it goes on its way, and I get my credit in like a day or two. Amazon just, it's just a well-oiled machine. So, I mean, the Wush was as bad as it gets. I would give it like a 2 out of 10. So that's that. Now, what else do we have to talk about on this beautiful day? Oh, there's another thing. I was just recently watching some TikToks, and the girl on TikTok who like she she like does that shtick. I think she's probably like 28, but she does that shtick where she's like a mom. She's like 50 or some shit, like that blonde girl. I'll put her name here if I just forgot her name. Anyway, I stumbled on her like TikTok live, and she was discussing how like TikTok might get banned because it's from China, and so they're gonna make it like that she's trying to move her audience over to Instagram. Listen, if TikTok gets ruined, and this is all I have is the TikTok because YouTube isn't doing shit for me right now. If this TikTok app gets fucking taken off, it's over for me. And it is what it is, and I will become like a fucking mechanic or something like that. It's just over. Now that we're talking about TikTok, actually, I was thinking a couple days ago about how crushed I was when my lemon ice bit that I recently posted on TikTok didn't do numbers. It just really bothered me. And so that video, that bit I made was like one of the first things I recorded, period, since I started doing this. It was like in September of 2022. And I remember when I did it then, I thought it was hysterical. And last week I was posting, which I will be doing, a clip a day on TikTok, and I didn't have enough clips from last episode of the podcast to make it to Friday. So I needed to post a throwback, and I was looking through my TikTok videos, and I was like, you know what? That lemon ice video, it was like one of the first videos I posted, so no one was like visiting my channel at that point or my page. So I'm gonna give it another chance because I think it's so funny, and I know you should be laughing at your own bits or like think that they're funny, but I don't know why I believe in this lemon ice bit. So I went back to the original file. I like re-edited it where it's like basically I put parts in that weren't in the original one, and I cut some stuff out that should have been in there because I'm a master editor now after 6 months of experience on Adobe Photoshop, or not Photoshop, Adobe Premiere Pro. And yeah, I made that on Wednesday night, and then I was excited to post it on Thursday. And when I posted on Thursday and it got no views, really, it got like 300 views, I was crushed. And I went to sleep that night crushed. I thought with the new traffic on my channel, or again my page, I keep calling it channel, it was gonna do some stuff, and it was a brutal crushing blow. It was just, I mean, down goes Frazier for JohnnyCast because that upset me. But highs and lows, it is what it is. That's where we're at. Let's cut this episode very short. I know it's a short one today. I apologize, but I mean it's a Sunday night. Penn State just lost to Purdue, which was a good game. They really had no business being in it, especially being down 17 late. But I mean, a horrible play call on the inbounds to lose that game. I mean, they're down 2, and basically don't even get a shot off. Travel the ball. I think they had 2 walks in the last like 4 possessions, which was just miserable. But either way, it told me a lot about Purdue, even though they're a 1 seed in the tournament, and Edey's like 8'5". I just can't see them really playing well in high leverage games. Jaden Ivey, I think, was a huge crutch of theirs last year. If you just got the ball to him, he would kind of move around a press, and then if they did foul him, he'd hit his free throws. But now without him, they were folding under the pressure of the press. I didn't like that. And so Penn State gets in. It's Selection Sunday. They got in as a 10 seed. They're playing Buzz's new team, I should say, Texas A&M, 7 seed. I think, yeah, 10-7. And that'll be a good. I mean, Jay Wright said it's his favorite matchup of the entire first round. I mean, who knows? I'm just like everyone else. I watched the last 2 weeks of college basketball and then the tournament, so I really have no room to speak on this subject. But anyway, big sports show on Tuesday. I'll be talking a lot of Yankees. We have, I mean, just like the worst case scenario ever, pretty much, which is every player on the roster getting hurt for the most part. But I guess it's not the worst case scenario because Volpe looks amazing and Dominguez looks amazing. So hopefully they both make the roster to open up the first game of the year. And Dominguez is probably a long shot, but I really hope that's a thing that happens. And so talk a lot of Yankees. We'll talk some New York Knicks. They're fumbling a little bit, but again, without Brunson, and just hopefully they can right the ship a little bit to get more of that confidence and that momentum back. And then clearly we have a Rodgers trade imminent. We have a Aaron Rodgers to the New York Jets transaction very, very soon. So I'm super, super excited. And yeah, I'll be posting that on Tuesday and then clips throughout the week. Next week, I'll promise to have a little bit longer with JohnnyCast, being that I should have the whole weekend to record. I hope you enjoyed. From what I'm hearing in my ears is the best audio quality yet. I'm also filming this one at a 30 frames per second clip, so it should be smoother, especially on those TikTok clips. I might look like I'm more of a professional content creator. And let's see if one of these TikTok clips that I splice up from this podcast blows up. All right, maybe the Lil Tyler beating the shit out of me clip blows up. So enjoy the rest of the weekend for what you have. It's like 2 more hours to go before you probably have to go to sleep to go to your miserable corporate job in the morning. But cheers, everybody. Be good.